What's up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, Think Magazine Put into Geek. Today we're taking a look at this right here. It's the Ruipro 8K detachable pure fiber fiber HDMI cable for long runs, for important runs, whether it be with video or something else. Now, I've worked with Ruipro, and we actually have a couple of their cables strung across this studio, so I'm using their HDMI fiber optic cables through here. But this is a different type of fiber optic cable because the fact that the ends detach, and it's just, you can take the cable, which might make it better for cable runs because you don't have a big old head just you have to push through holes and walls or anything like that. So it'll be very interesting to see how this works. So let's go ahead and get this unboxed. And as we're doing this, I do have to mention that Ruipro did send me this product for review, but they are not sponsoring anything. All opinions are of my own. Let's take the film out, and I think I have to take off some tape here. There we go. Yes, I do. So 1, 2, there we go. All right, let's pop this open, see what we got. So this is 30 meters run, and it comes in 2 different types because you might need it in different ways. First of all, we got the user manual, which shows you everything there. We should have 2 heads. We should have the fiber cable and then a USB power, because in some cases you might need to have that USB power. We have the cable right here, and then right on there, there's a set of do not do instructions. And that's basically, it's fiber optic cable, and it doesn't work well if you pinch it. So if you have to run around a corner, make sure it's got a nice little curve to it. Don't do a straight up corner like that. So, all right, open this up. Inside here we have all the bits and pieces, and then of course the fiber optic cable. Now the cool thing about this is you could probably change the head, and I did ask them about this. Will there be different heads? Will you have HDMI heads and DisplayPort heads? And they said yes, down the line, yes. But right now we're just doing HDMI cables. And so that's great. So the best part is when they do have these out, you basically don't need to change out the full cable. You'll just need to buy a new head for that. And the list of different types of heads could go on and on. I mean, you could talk about HDMI, you could talk about USB, you could be talking about DisplayPort. This goes up to 8K, so an 8K DisplayPort, I could see this happening and run from there. So, all right, like I said, we have 2 parts to the cable. We have a display HDMI that goes to the display, and one that goes to the source. So if I was doing camera to monitor, for example, this one would go to the camera, this one would go to the monitor, and it says it right on the thing here. There's a little warning info about using fiber optics and not bending or breaking anything. So we'll take off these tabs and then we'll pop it open. We have the HDMI on one end that's can do up to 8K. On the other hand, that's basically just the open port for your fiber optic cable. Now, if I was to plug this in, on one end, you'd actually see a nice red light coming through here. And once again, we're not going to bend or crimp this cable. Very important not to do. We'll just simply connect this up into the HDMI port. There is a right way and a wrong way. It will not let you go in if it's in the wrong way. And then we just kind of give it a little bit of pressure and it clicks into place. To undo it, all you have to do is pull down on this blue part right here, and then it will come out. So as you can see, like I showed you, the head is actually fairly big. So if you're doing a cable run through a wall, it's a lot easier to put this through than it is to put this through, which I like. So we also have, like I said, this is the USB. Interesting, it's USB to USB micro cable. So you might not need it. In fact, most of the optic cable runs that I've ever done, I've never used this, but if you do need it, especially if you're getting up to 8K, you might need a signal boost. plug that in. And of course, if you have a shorter fiber optic cable, if you decide to run one of those, then you might not need this. But if you've got a longer one, you'll probably have to have some extra power run through it. So basically plugs in like that, and then you can plug this into a source. It doesn't look high power by any means, so I bet you if you had a USB 2.0 source, you could plug that in as easy. It doesn't come with any wall plugs to it, so you'll have to figure that out for yourself. But anyway, we got the one end. Let's go ahead and pop on the other end. There we go. Warning label off. And pop it on the other end. And there we are. We're good to go. So now I will plug this. Once again, you got to make sure that one end's the source, one end's the display. But the really cool thing about this, let's say you run this cable and then you just mess it up and this is supposed to go to the display instead of the source. All you have to do is this. Boop. 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 There. Now it's fixed. So I like this a lot because there's been a few times where I've run a cable and I've accidentally gone the wrong direction. XLR cables, notorious for doing that. But HDMI cables, there we are. So now we have our fiber optic cable. We can run it from monitor to monitor and we can do up to 8K of video.